apologize for making it.
All right.
All right.
Look,
I'm checking
I
something.
thought you all were caucusing on our issues.
We were waiting to hear from you on what you said you were going to caucus on our issues on our salary proposal. Gordon was working on some spreadsheets, so that's what
Okay,
we were
so-
waiting to see.
So basically, you don't have anything for us right now on
Not
our-
right now, no.
Okay.
We have to talk to some upper level leadership. I certainly appreciate the movement that you made on a lot of issues. We have some things that we need to talk about internally with, the deputy superintendent in particular about a couple of things that you've proposed. The bereavement leave is not something we can do. It is, it's too costly for us to contemplate right now. So that's something that I can tell you right now that we can't do bereavement leave for your unit. As soon as we do it for your unit, it's all staff, all miscellaneous principals, and it's everybody in the district, and it is a costly proposal that we can't afford right now.
And it's, how costly is it? I mean,
Heather, what was the initial estimate on that? 1.7 million.
What's the basis for that? Like X amount of employees using X amount of days?
Yes.
What are those variables?
It's an estimate. You don't really know. We looked at some of our history with other employee groups, and it looked like about 12%. About 12% of the employees in a given year would utilize it. So then looking at, your group, I think the payroll for the teachers group is roughly $1 million a day, and then looking at that 3 days for 12% of the workforce.
so you're saying about what, 1,400?
1.7 million was our estimate.
Right, but numbers in terms of teachers, what's driving that 1.7 million?
Oh, right. So say 12% of what, roughly 13,000 people?
Right, so it would be an estimate of almost 4,000 days that would be utilized.
I'm not hearing.
13,000 teachers.
Mike.
She needs a mic.
13,000 teachers using an average of 2.5 days. At 12% would be 3,900 days. Nearly 4,000 days. And then we'd also have the cost of the substitute to cover during the time off as well.
The other units, they're using about that same percentage?
Yes, they are.
I got it. I'll figure it out. Okay. 2 points, yeah. So 12% of the, just verify your numbers, Heather. 12% of 13,000 FTE times 2.5 days.
3 day.
Well, she said average of 2.5 days.
Okay.
Times 2.5 days plus the cost of subs for those same 2.5 days. Is that that's where your calculations were made?
Yes.
Okay.
And the sub cost is what?
About $100.
About $100 a day. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to know what they were using.
Yeah. Let me figure it out before we come back, before we talk more.
Okay, so you ready?
Yeah, I just have to plug in and let him put that back up. So let me get to the right spot here before I plug in. That sounded good.
You Toshiba?
Mm-hmm. Oh, is this not, hang on. I wonder. Hey. There we go. I forgot about that. All right, so I'll have to scroll across a little bit. So here is the numbers for our first offer, and yeah, I think I will. I'll just, for all those people who have new glasses that are really good, I think that'll do. we adopted your numbers, so we could get some of our starting things. We're asking for 4.5% total, which is inclusive of a 1% COLA, a little bit different, so we can do a little bit better for those who were not evaluated, et cetera. And the two lines in yours, Mike, I rolled into this one line.
Okay.
The developing unsatisfactory and no evaluations. There's a total in yours of 137 FTE at 1%. These numbers here include the COLA already, the COLA being the E4 number, just so that you can see that.
1 second.
No, it's not in there. It's taken out. It's taken out right
Okay.
here.
I'm just saying it says it.
No, because I have to have those numbers here to
Okay.
give me my start value.
Yeah.
So the numbers, I think, are pretty clear, speak for themselves. The total cost, $26.8 million in salary, $31.8 million in total cost, including benefits. If we're doing just against this number, if you add the 26.8 here, we're at about, 891? I think, something like that. I don't know why that did that. Let's go back here. So if there's any questions, it's a similar format that we've used before. And if you need this one emailed to you as well, I can do that when we get done.
I think I'm good. I was just jotting down some of the numbers so I can go back and check, but,
I
so
think
you're calculating it's overall as a 4.06% equivalent raise for the group.
right. I think it comes out at about 2.6% real salary growth over the previous year. When you've got other, some savings factors in there. It's a number we've used before in a graph.
Yeah, so I want to just address that real quick. One thing I didn't mention earlier. So, we have a track record, right, of where we've outperformed what the state's provided. So we get these 1% and change increases, and we've been able to somehow stretch that to a 3% increase basically for the last 4 years. Part of the way we did that was based on if we had more vacancies than anticipated, or if we have attrition, right, and we have the average salary might actually, what's happening with the average salary? Do we see people retiring and new teachers coming in fresh out of school that have a lower salary? So all those things that kind of freed up monies would help us when we got to bargaining time, trying to do the best deal we could do. The impact, the referendum's been a great thing. It's long overdue. We're getting to make a meaningful impact in a lot of our teachers' paychecks. But one of the kind of unintended consequences from that is that we have fewer vacancies and we have more experienced teachers joining our ranks on a daily basis. So it is eroding some of that natural savings that we had due to vacancies and attrition that we used to bank on to try to help us to stretch our money. Some of that is drying up. So that's part of the good and the bad around what we're seeing with our experience now around the referendum. So I just want to explain that to the group because there's, I guess, this idea that the state, gave us $75 and we finally have a slightly better budget, so that means that should be all and above what we've done in past years. That logic is a little bit faulty because of when you tap resources year after year, first of all, we spent some of those resources, and then this phenomenon I'm seeing around the referendum, we recognize all experience, inside or outside of Palm Beach County, and I think it's being wildly successful on one hand, but also creating kind of a little strain on the budget on another.
So that's our counter.
Okay.
Well, we have another session scheduled for October 11th, so we'll take the information that you've given us and we'll be prepared to come back with a counter on everything on October 11th.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything, you said you got to talk to people with the language, so no.
Yeah,
count listeners on
you know,
that.
there's a couple of things that are concerning. We talked about the, you know, the transferring that 6 and 4 you want to change. We've actually, you've asked for that a couple of years now, and every year we've gone to regional superintendents, we've gone to, you know, the management, as it were, and asked them about it, and there is little interest in changing that. We're going to take this back to them again and see if there's interest in changing it now. Given the fact that, you know, you're not interested in moving the interims, allowing the interims to move, but allowing this group to move, even though they're both T bargaining unit, is going to be a little problematic for us. But we're certainly going to look at both of that, you know, that as well. The 1/2 of one PD day, you know, in talking to our principals, less so at the elementary level because of the way we work these. It has to do with the end of the marking period. The secondary principals feel that they're being cut short on a lot of PD that they desperately need. And so that may be something we need to come up with, maybe a different solution rather than using a PD day, coming up with some place else to put that. But you know, when the principals have a lot of requirements that are being given to them, either through changes in curriculum or changes in statute, or things that we now have to teach that we didn't have to teach before, and ways to teach it that are changing, taking even half a PD away from our secondary is problematic for them. That's a little hard for them to swallow, so we've got to talk to them about that. The FMLA change, I'm going to get you the most recent letter that we received and see if that changes your attorney's take on it. And then, you know, talking about raising the additional period supplement, even if it's for 2020, that's money that we have to look at having. And given the outlook of a possible recession hitting us in 2020, I'm not sure that that's something that we're going to be able to do at this point. We want to look and see what the state's going to do with this big promise of making salaries better for teachers. And that may change some things that we have contemplated doing. But at the same time, we're going to look at what we have in our budget and what you've proposed and come back with something that hopefully we can all agree to. But it's one of those we're all going to have to give a little to get a little. So we'll see what we can do for October 11th.
Okay. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Have a good
always.
afternoon or evening.